What other things aside from communication? So like we've kind of talked about that. We've talked about communication, like it may be some conflict resolution, but like what other things do you think are
I think
pillars of a strong relationship?
the number one thing that we do is we watch how we talk to each other.
Yeah.
We don't really cuss at each other. Like that's something I know we're actually elite at. Even when I'm mad.
I'm worse than you at that.
Yeah.
And like maybe once a year.
Not even.
Yeah. Like it's literally our track record is like maybe once every other year. I don't think Bedford, maybe like in a conversation, but not directly towards me ever. And I probably have a worse track record.
Yeah, no, I don't call we don't call each other names. We keep it at least respectful that way. And that's something I'll say first and foremost that's something that I'm really good at deciding when I'm using that power. Because if you just cut me off at cut me off at the light, it's on. And and I think it's because I know which relationships I care about and which ones I don't. Like, because I feel like that can be damaging and that can stick is when you are disrespectful towards like people in your family. And like you can have an argument, but I don't need to be calling you this and this and dirty that or whatever. You know, like that's like if that comes out of my mouth, there will be times where in your subconscious you're like, does he really think that? And
and we've had that conversation.
It's hard for me to be like, no, I don't really think that. I just said that because I was mad. Nah, forget that. So like,
we've had that conversation.
And quite frankly, I will say it to people that I do think it. I'm like, that's fine. You could be a dirty bit of, you know. We're trying to keep this family friendly. Dirty, yeah. But that's something that we do really good at. Like there's no slip ups, there's no mess ups, and for years, we don't do that just because I feel like that kind of stuff sticks. And
it does.
Like I'm not trying to mess my wife's self-confidence up. I'm not trying to mess up how she feels, how she thinks I feel. Now we do disagree regularly, right? I think and there's some things that we do argue about, and hopefully things change. Like one of the biggest arguments we've ever, I wouldn't say it was a big argument, but it was a continual one. You remember this?
Probably.
Diapers.
Oh
my gosh, we got into it a lot about diapers.
I mean, here's the thing though, and I would say that a lot of these things that we can't really like be on the same page about came up when we had kids, like exponentially worse when we had children. Yeah. But here's the thing. I had my 5th baby. Okay. And 5 children. I had 3 children at home full time. Like they were home with me all the time. And I had 2 children in diapers. And I was drowning in diapers. And my 5th baby was a newborn. And we didn't have a diaper genie. Like we didn't, and those end up stinking anyways. I don't care what anybody says.
I need to work on that.
Whoever develops those, can we come up with? I'm sure that there is. Actually, our youngest is 3. I'm sure that there is a better solution. But I would change so many diapers a day, and I would just go and put them by the front door, and then at the end of the night, they could all go out. But I was not going to the garbage can 10 times a day. Literally, that is not an exaggeration. I had a 2-year-old, and I had a brand new baby, and those little tiny diapers get wet so fast. And I was not walking out to the garbage can 10 times a day. And he would come home from work and see this pile of diapers, and he would get furious.
I just felt like I was walking into a pile of crap.
Yes.
Like literally just walk in and like a whiff of crap and smell.
And I get it.
And I was like, why are we doing this? Like, we got to come up with something. Let's put them in a trash bag, in a bag, so it doesn't smell or something. And we would get hot about it, right?
Because I felt like I am doing my best. Like I am literally drowning. I can't take a shower. I'm in the same clothes that I've been in for like 4 freaking days. I'm so tired from like feeding this child all the time. And like, alive. Yes, like I am exhausted. And you're going to come home and complain about the diapers. Like, give me a break. I would get so irritated. But I think that that's what causes so many disagreements is like the inability, because like looking at it now, I can totally see why he would come home from work and that would just be the first thing that he walked into and that would just tick him off. Like I can totally see that. But in that moment where I literally felt like I was barely surviving, I was like, if it pisses you off so bad, take him out. Like,
no, and I would.
And he would, but I was just like, leave me alone. Like, I'm so tired.
But that's something that I would like, you just always leaving the diapers out, you diaper
Every
leaver
day.
outer, you
Yes.
know? And so those are things like, yeah, like I wouldn't hold back on, but I'm not about to call her this or call her anything disrespectful because that would stick. And I do not need that sticking. Like I need my wife at all times, and I hope you feel that way. I don't know, but
No,
I hope you feel that I do respect you.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely.
think the highest of you. I think you are the most perfect person for me and the most perfect person to raise our child. Like, you need to know those things for sure. And regardless of whether we're agreeing on whatever it might be, like diapers, how to raise our kids, whether or not, like, what the color of our next minivan is going to be, like, you still need to know, like, I respect you. And so, because we're in this for the long haul, like, I'm not trying to do anything that, like, I'm not about to lose my wife because I can't have a conversation about diapers in a way that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so I think, I mean, and I agree. I think, like, you know, there are people in our lives that I really admire how they speak to each other. And, you know, I watched that with my parents. Like, my parents didn't call each other names. They didn't, like, they fought, like, all the time, you know, like, and that was fine. But they didn't call each other names. And, you know, I've seen and heard of other relationships where they do that. And it, like, is actually shocking to me. And so I do think that, because again, it speaks to, like, this isn't just a disagreement about a topic, it's a disagreement about who you are. And I think that, like, I don't respect who you are as a person based off of this decision, right? Like, name calling essentially is just like, it's the disrespect of an individual.
And I can, like, I'll be the first to say, like, it is, and I can see why people would not see it that way. But I can also see why 100% it would be received that way.
Yeah.
Right? So I've been called, like, I remember, so I way back in the day, I was working at the bank, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a teller at the bank. I'm in college. I'm still working. And I had a guy come in. It was a black guy. And we're in Utah. So normally, you know, a black guy comes in. I see him like, hey, what's up, fam? You know, we have this understanding, right, that we're in Utah. There's a lot of white people around. We're on the same fight, same struggle, whatever it is, right? And so this guy comes in, and he's got a check written out to the company that he wants to cash. Now, it's the company that he works for, and he's like a door-to-door salesman selling like cleaning supplies. I don't even know what he's selling, but it was like cleaning supply company, check written out to the company. He wants to cash it out in his name, and it came from our bank. And I'm like, nah, fam, I can't do that. He's like, well, why can't you do that? And then he called me, and I was like, well, it's because of this, and I'll get in trouble. You know, it's nothing to you or anything like that. But because it's written to the company, it's got to go to the company's account, right? So it is a little dicey on his side. And he immediately looks at me and goes, hey, you're a house N-word. And I'm like, dang. And that hurt my insides. Like, he just did not, like, he immediately unblacked me. Right.
Well, and it was like an attack on your character.
Yeah.
And I think that that's exactly what we're talking about, is there is a difference between someone's character and, like, their opinions and beliefs around how something should be handled, or, you know, whether or not something is important. And I think that when you start throwing out words, you start to attack who someone is as a person, rather than just, like, their belief system around something.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where, you know, you run into problems. Like, I don't know. I definitely feel, even when we're arguing, I feel like I would never say, like, my husband doesn't respect me, right?
But I just remember, like, for me, when he did that, I was like, it took me like a couple of days, like, yo, now my confidence is shook on a stranger that I did the right thing.
Which you could have lost your job.
I could have lost
right?
my job. I did the right thing. 100% not wrong. Like, I know that I did the right thing. But then all of a sudden now I'm like, am I though? Am I black enough? He done took my blackness away right away. Like.
Right.
And I know that can happen to somebody else. And especially if a stranger can strip it that quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, heaven forbid I do that to my spouse or my kids. Like, and so that's something that we try to do even to our kids. Like, there are times where I'm like, bro, you are a clown, or don't do stupid things. But I really think to myself, like, should I say you are a clown? or you're doing clownish things, because I don't want my kids to
Right.
believe that they are a clown.
Right.
Or an idiot or anything
Well, words
like that.
matter.
Yeah, because if I strip their confidence away, that could stay forever.
Right.
Right?